Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Being You Pod. I am Bronwyn. I'm the host of the Being You podcast, and I am the owner of BU Fitness and Nutrition. As a personal trainer and a nutritional therapist, I offer fitness and nutrition solutions for tired humans to function better, because we're all just here to function better. Not all of us are here to bodybuild or to have maximal power or to have like the perfect 5 a.m. morning routine. Some of our routines don't start at 5 a.m. Some of us start at 8 a.m. Some of us start at 8 p.m. And I started this podcast, not this episode, but the podcast in general. I started because wellness, well-being podcasts, self-development podcasts take an awfully long time to listen to. And a lot of information is in one episode, and a lot of information is coming from, more often than not, one person who is like a high performer, extreme success. And not every person is looking for high performing extreme success. Some people are just looking for day-to-day life, happy with where life is right now, and might have a different definition of high performing extreme success than high performers with extreme success levels. And also, not all of us have an hour and a half to listen to waffle around wellness. So this is material that you can take, that you can absorb, that you can use what you want to and leave what you don't want or need. So here we go. Today's episode is all about secrets that make stronger humans. Specifically, I came up with a clever title and everything, and I don't have it in front of me because I have baby brain still. But specifically, we're talking about the secret ways to get stronger for people who always put themselves last. So for people who always feel like, I don't have time to put myself first because I'm working a lot of hours, or I don't have time to put myself first because I've got to put my kids first, or I don't have time to put myself first because I got to go take care of my parents or another elderly relative. So if you are one of those people, if you fall into that category, or you have fallen into that category in a past life and you want to get out of it, this episode is for you. So traditional methods of getting stronger don't work for you. Spending good quality time in the gym with all the equipment and being able to do the heavy lifts and prioritizing your protein and your carbohydrates for recovery and getting your good quality sleep and having rest days and always having the same set schedule week in, week out, and just knowing what works well for you and feeling like you've got control of the situation. Traditional methods work there. So if you tick all of those boxes that I just mentioned, you can keep listening to this episode if you want, but it might not be the episode for you. If, for whatever reason, you're like myself, or you're like, I only tick one of those boxes, or I have never ticked one of those boxes in my life, listen up. Traditional methods of strength training and strength building don't work for you because they're relying on intensity, relying on always being able to either maintain the intensity or increase the intensity because you've always got the facility. Not factoring in things like having weeks or months of broken sleep, shift work, chronic health conditions, and time commitments that you have on your plate that you cannot forsake. Which is why the traditional methods work really well for someone who is perhaps a bit younger, little to no responsibilities yet, or their responsibilities feel super manageable because it's just yourself and your responsibilities. It's not yourself, your family, and your responsibilities at this time. So traditional methods rely on intensity, which you might not have the access to or the energy to. Traditional methods don't work for you because They're also relying on you having the disposable time, disposable income, and disposable lack of logistics in making a workout happen. So, say for example, you're in your 60s, your kids are grown enough that maybe they are moved out of house or they are in the process of moving out of your house, and you have retirement on the horizon. You've also got a parent or an older sibling that needs your help, or a neighbor who needs your help, needs your care, and needs your attention. So for someone like that, the time it takes to go to the gym, the money it takes to pay for a gym membership is probably there, but the time it takes to go to the gym, to get into the gym, to warm up, to work out efficiently and cool down effectively and leave the gym and go back to normal life, that sort of time might not be available for you if, I don't know, your neighbor calls and needs help getting to the doctor's appointment, or your grown child calls and says, Mom, I'm coming home, I'm tired and I'm over it. And of course, you're going to bring your child in because it's your child. You're going to do anything for that person. So you have a lack of or less enthusiasm around dedicating the commute time, the disposable income. Maybe in your 60s, you're like, come here, I want to travel the world. I don't want to pay for a gym membership. You're not going to allocate all of that to working out. Whereas the things that we're going to talk about in about 10 seconds might influence your situation. Another situation in which your situation might be influenced is if you are in your mid to late 30s, you've got a young family, your kids might be under 10 or 12 years old. You've got school schedules to juggle. You've got extracurricular schedules to juggle. You've got a partner who is working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Maybe your partner is a shift worker and you're balancing day work versus night work, and that each of those situations brings a different set of skills and juggling on your plate. And you like to work yourself, so you work as much as you can because you contribute to your household. Lack of time. You're the taxi service after school. Finances are different when you've got extracurriculars for your kids to pay for. You might think, okay, I'm not going to pay for a gym membership right now because I know I'm not going to get there as often as I want to. And also the kids could do something else instead, or our family holiday could be, that much farther away instead of just around the corner. And the logistics especially play in here. If you are looking at a situation where you've got to drop the dog off at doggy daycare, and then you've got to go pick so-and-so up, and then you've got to go collect the friend, and then you're all going and the van is loaded and the snacks are everywhere, and you're just like, I can't organize all of that on top of dinner. I need to shower and shave my legs too. You're going to look at that situation and be like, gym, what? So here's what we're going to do. Traditional methods don't work in either of those situations. First of all, you're going to swap your mindset to consistency, and you're going to take the pedal off of intensity. Now, I don't mean that to say every workout that you do should be really easy, should feel yummy and flowy and like a cathartic release. No, your workouts aren't going to feel like that. Your workouts still need to feel like you are putting in effort to reach a goal. However, we're not going to put the main focus on always achieving maximal hypertrophy or a 1 rep max. What you're going to focus on is showing up to an exercise schedule consistently. And that does not look like 5 days of 45 minutes. That could look like 2 days of 60 minutes. Or 3 days of 40 to 45 minutes. Or 6 days of 10 to 20 minutes It depends on your situation. And that's where you have to go and take a subjective look at your life and say, right, I actually can carve out 30 minutes 4 times a week to move or to work out or to work towards my goal. Personally, I'm on a 3-day split, strength training specifically. A 3-day split where I am allocating anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes of time to achieve my goals. My goals right now, I'm trying to get any bit of muscle mass back after giving birth and spending a good majority of the first 4 months just sitting on a couch and feeding my child. I'm trying to gain muscle mass. So right now, with my schedule, my lifestyle, my disposable time, I've got 3 opportunities to strength train in my week for 30 to 45 minutes. I'm also working on athletic endurance again, because that's something that I've always enjoyed doing. I'm doing 2 days, and again, 30 to 45 minutes, because that brings it up to 5 days of 30 to 45 minutes of movement to reach my goal of having more muscle mass, as well as cardiovascular endurance activity, which is something I enjoy. Consistently dedicating that time. And I focus more on 5 days of consistency, not so much of I'm consistently doing 45 minutes. Because if I was to say, okay, I can consistently do 45 minutes, some weeks are busier in work than others, and I might not have 45 minutes in a day at all that week. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, I can't work out because I don't have 45 minutes. No, that's where you reframe and say, I've got 5 days in which I'm going to exercise or work towards my goal. And since my days are limited, instead of 45 minutes, one day I'm going to do 15 minutes. The next day I might do 45. And then the other 3 days I might be doing 15 minutes again. Consistency, not so much consistently dedicating X amount of minutes per day, but think first about how many days in your week you can carve out time for that goal achievement process, and then approach the X amount of minutes. Of course, there's the recommended, 150 minutes of exercise per week for adults. There's a lot that factors into that. For instance, how active your lifestyle already is, health conditions, your time, your finances, your resources, and all of that. So consistency over intensity is going to help you first and foremost, and consistent day allocation before consistent minute allocation is going to behoove you and help you be more successful. Another thing that you need, a secret way to getting stronger, is a framework. A framework. Fewer days does actually equal more consistency. It is so much easier to look ahead at a chaotic week and say, okay, I only want to be consistent 2 days of the week, versus looking at a chaotic week and being like, okay, and I want to be consistent 6 days of the week. I don't know where I'm going to fit this in. And automatically your brain is like, I don't know where I can fit this in, so I'm just not going to try at all. Your brain literally just goes there. And that's okay. It's important to acknowledge it and to move on and to figure your system out, your framework out. So fewer days, more consistency. Instead of saying, okay, I want to be consistent. I want to be consistent 7 days. Perfect. You want to be. However, realistically, are you going to be consistent 7 days? And if the answer is no, you are probably joined by about 87 to 92% of the world in saying that. Okay, I want to be consistent 7 days of the week. When it boils down to it, I'm going to be consistent 3 days of the week. Amazing. Identify that and run with it. Don't say, I want to be consistent for 7 days of the week. I can't be consistent 7 days of the week. I won't be. Just say, I want to be. I will be consistent for X amount of days anyway. And maybe you'll get to 7. Who knows? Another part of your framework is built-in recovery. When you are working out, you might step up to your workout space and time and say, I've got 10 minutes. Your 10 minutes or your 45 minutes needs to incorporate a warm up and a cool down along with your workout. You need to make a workout sandwich with your warm up and your cool down because it's going to prevent crashes, both energy crashes, strength and stability crashes, and injury crashes. If you are warming up and cooling down around your workout, you're not going to have the likelihood of extreme muscle soreness and stiffness that you would if you totally skipped warming up and working out. And the other thing too, if you skip warming up and working out, you might have back trouble the next day. And then, oh, I tore a muscle in such and such. Now I'm not able to work out because it physically hurts and I need to take time to let this muscle heal. Save yourself the grief and the disappointment and the frustration and just warm up and work out and cool down. Just do it. Another part of your framework that you really need to have is flexibility. Understanding, like I was saying a few minutes ago, understanding that some weeks are just crazy. And if you want to be consistent 3 days in your week, you might not have the 45 minutes or the 30 minutes that you wish you had, but you know you'll have 20 minutes or 10 minutes. Another thing that you can do to be flexible with your framework is to passively multitask. And that's something you'll hear high performers spouting on about. And there's good reason, and everybody can passively multitask. Take a walk and answer emails. Do some stretching while you're on a phone call. Prep your meals while you're trying to prep the meals for your children. Ways that I'm passively multitasking right now is walking and answering emails, stretching and replying to voice notes. I am checking client messages after I've put my son down to bed and I need to do the dishes. You have to figure it out. Figure out your little pockets in your day and be willing to deviate from your routine. In a previous life, like when I used to work on ships, I'd have dinner, I would go to work, I'd finish work, I would stretch and have my recovery like protein shake or snack or whatever have you. And I had this nice routine. And when you're no longer just yourself, but you have a family dynamic or a workplace dynamic that requires more of you, your nice routine does kind of go out the window, but you got to find your hacks and you've got to use them. Passive multitasking or habit pairing, habit stacking is a great way to instill that flexibility in your workout framework. I'm warming up and I'm just scrolling through the emails to making sure nothing new has come in. I'm working out, that's my workout time. I'm cooling down, I'm getting back to that voice note and putting myself back in work mode or back in parent mode, whichever one it's going to be. Something else that's a secret, sneaky strategy that people who are always putting themselves on the back burner are not quick to realize is a focus in your actual workouts. So you've got 15 minutes, you've done your warm up. What the heck are you doing? Well, if you don't have a goal for your training, that is going to waste time. Because if you don't have a goal of getting stronger, working on a particular movement, improving range of motion in a certain area, you're literally stepping into time and thinking, okay, what am I going to do? And then when you're doing one exercise, you're not focusing fully on your form. You're thinking, okay, I like this. What am I going to do next? And do I have enough time for that? Save yourself, save your brain power, and save your physical power by having a focus in your goal, via a goal, I should say. Another thing that really helps when you are working out and you're crunched for time is focusing on compound lifts. Compound exercises or compound lifts are exercises that recruit many muscle groups at one time and many planes and ranges of motion. I'm not talking about grabbing a set of dumbbells and combining reverse lunges with bicep curls. That is not, to me, as a professional, personal, qualified trainer who has been in the industry for 10 years, things like that are not very helpful because you're going to grab a weight to support your lightest movement, which is your bicep curl. Therefore, when you're doing your lunges, it's kind of like, this is cute. I can go heavier, but I've grabbed these dumbbells because I'm doing a lunge and a bicep curl. Another thing that I'm not really a big fan of are things like a deadlift to an overhead press. The back of your legs are so strong. Your shoulders have to work so hard to push your deadlift weight, and they probably can't do that yet. Don't combine things. Focus on compounds. So for example, a deadlift. Compound movement because you're focusing on your back, your glutes, and your hamstrings. Those are the three main muscle groups. There are so many muscles working in those muscle groups to make your deadlift happen. You are also hinging and vertically pulling away from the floor. Another example of a solid compound would be a squat, holding a weight at your chest or your body weight too, bending your knees. We're getting knee flexion and extension. Same thing with your hips, hip extension and flexion. You're working your quads, hamstrings, glutes, core, and back as well. Compound exercises are going to be a much more focused use of your time, whether it's 10 minutes or 45 minutes, but compounds are important. And when I am looking at programming movement for one-to-one clients as well as in function, you will always find a compound at the start of your workout because that's when your energy is freshest, your brain power is freshest. You're able to focus on that compound movement and get more out of it, instead of doing accessory movements first and then heading into your compound last, because by then you're either physically tired, physically fatigued because you've been working, or you're already swapping in your brain from workout mode to cool down and get back to life mode. And losing focus in a compound is just not smart. You want to be focused in your compound movement. So do it first, focus on it, and no fluff. No wasted time, no wasted space. And fluff could look like going into the gym and saying, I want to do cable kickbacks with dumbbell lateral raises, or actually no, cable kickbacks with a seated shoulder press. When the two machines are on opposite ends of the gym floor, you're wasting time traversing across the gym floor, navigating people, smells, equipment. You're wasting time. So you need to forget the fluff, do your cable kickbacks with a cable lateral raise or something like that, pairing movements that work well in your space so you are spending less time in transition, spending less of your well-needed resting time in transition. And fluff as well is like balancing on a Bosu ball. I used to see workouts, and I still see them, but seeing workouts that involve like balancing on a Bosu ball and doing a overhead tricep extension to work your triceps and your core and your lower body stability. That's fluffy. Like, do some reverse lunges and then superset that with tricep dips, and you will get similar, if not the same result. Actually, no, you'll get a better result because it will be a more effective use of your muscles and your time and your bandwidth for working out. Don't fluff. Don't waste the time with fluffy exercises. Grab resistance that's going to suit you. If you are working with body weight, use the body weight mechanisms that suit you in creating tension under time under tension, so that your body is responding to what you're actually doing, because the fluffy stuff might not be eliciting the muscular response that you want in order to achieve your goals. If you want to get stronger and you are someone who always puts yourself last, you need better structure. You just need better structure. And that comes from a change in your mindset. That comes from a different framework. And it comes from a really, really laser sharp focus on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And even thinking about all of that is overwhelming, which is why function is here. Join Function because it gives you 6 months of a schedule of the warm-ups, workouts, and cool downs that are an efficient use of your time, not a waste, and they help give you that consistency along with the systems, structure, and support to make your goals happen. So you can stop putting yourself on the back burner and you can start showing up for how people expect you to show up in life and also how you expect yourself to show up in your life. I'll leave the details to Join Function in the caption or the show notes. And otherwise, I will see you on the next podcast episode. If there's anything that you want to hear about specifically, feel free to email me info@beufitnessandnutrition.com, or you can connect with me on Instagram at be.u, the letter U, fitness and nutrition, or message me on LinkedIn, and I will see you next time.